Some truth bombs from BYD's CEO. The CEO has come out firing. He's said to his engineers, he said to the world that BYD has fallen behind its rivals technologically. And that's why their sales are struggling. That's why over the last 3 months, their sales have been going down, which is a very, very strange position for BYD to be in after 5 years of spectacular growth. Here's everything we heard from BYD's CEO, which is a very different message to the message we've been told from Stella Lee, who has been their very vocal and very aggressive mouthpiece over the last couple of years. I think the CEO, I think what he's saying is exactly what investors probably are thinking and want to hear. Very wise words. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Guys, what am I talking about here? Well, BYD has just come out here. The CEO publicly has said something huge. This changes everything. Growth in China is faltering significantly in the last 3 months. BYD sales were down in November by about 6%, but in China, they were down by about 20%. And here's the thing. Wang Shanfu, the CEO of BYD, the legendary founder, he's delivered one of the most shocking admissions we've ever heard from BYD, or to be honest, from any car maker. After years, and I mean years of explosive growth that turned BYD into the #1 electric car manufacturer on the planet, the company is slowing. And in fact, not just slowing, it's slowing substantially. Sales have actually declined year on year for the past 3 months, and Wang has finally explained why. Our technology is not currently sufficiently leading. In other words, it's fallen behind our rivals. This was Wang's quote, reported by China Securities Journal and CNF Post. So let that sink in. BYD has 120,000 engineers, more than any other company on the face of the planet, and it has admitted its technology has fallen behind its key rivals. The man who built BYD into a global powerhouse is admitting that the company's once dominant technological edge, especially in its home market, has evaporated. The wow factor is gone. I mean, having 62 different models is kind of cool, but it's also pretty damn confusing for customers. Competitors have caught up, and the industry has entered a brutal race to the bottom price war. Wang says this shift is not surprising. Technology moves in cycles, but BYD must now fight to regain the lead it once used to crush the competition. And here's the twist. BYD says it has major technological announcements coming soon, but cannot reveal them yet. I mean, what are they talking about here? Are they talking about the new Blade battery, which is already in? Two of their cars, the Tang L and the Han L. Are they talking about the Blade battery version 2 of that? So there's a different Blade battery coming that's going to have higher energy density. Are they talking about the new sodium-ion batteries, which they say will go into cars? And in fact, they're going to be making one of the world's biggest sodium-ion battery factories. Well, they have disclosed what it might be. Wang says that he can openly admit BYD is no longer ahead because they are preparing a new wave of breakthroughs. This includes solving what he says is one of the biggest problems in EVs today: slow charging speeds in cold weather. BYD says a major technological solution is in development right now. And I believe he's talking about sodium-ion batteries, because lithium iron phosphate batteries in cold temperatures, yeah, it's true. They do struggle to charge quickly. And that's a challenge for people, especially if you live in a cold place. Sodium-ion batteries don't have that same problem, particularly BYD's direct rival. CATL, their new sodium-ion batteries, CATL say in -10 degrees Celsius, those batteries will charge at 90% of the speed of when they're at normal temperatures. That's groundbreaking. So I think maybe BYD are going to come up with some new, better sodium-ion battery tech that is going to potentially make CATL go, hang on a minute, we're not the only ones with amazing sodium-ion batteries. BYD have something as well. BYD's 120,000 engineers are in attack mode, he says. Wang reminded investors that BYD's true weapon is technology, even though they've fallen behind on that scale. Now, that said, to be honest, guys, they do have 1000 kilowatt fast charging, but even little Zeekr has faster EV charging now with 1300 kilowatt mega charging. Anyway, BYD, they have more engineers than the entire workforce of most global automakers. Just let that sink in. They have more engineers than the entire workforce of most global automakers with more than 120,000. And they're focused on regaining BYD's lost edge, says the CEO. Over the next 2 to 3 years, BYD will dramatically increase its R&D spending, overhaul product development, and tailor new models far more closely to customer needs. I think BYD needs to stop with all the new models. It's getting confusing. I mean, literally 62 new models. I've asked lots of people this in person. I'll say, how many models do you think BYD has? And they'll mostly say 20, 25. Someone said 30. It's more than 60. And that doesn't include some of the newer ones that I've just seen. Spy photos of them. BYD CEO also admitted that BYD became complacent, he says, during the boom years. The company relied on its reputation instead of pushing hard in marketing, but more particularly in user experience. That era is over. BYD will now strengthen sales capability and make sure technological advantages actually translate into market share. That's what he's saying. Now, he took aim at their marketing, saying that the company isn't doing a good enough job with its marketing. I don't know about that, but I mean, yeah, they're spending a ton of money on marketing, and I think that's one of BYD's biggest mistakes. I've spoken to industry executives, rivals at other companies. I've spoken to sales executives who specialize in marketing for car companies, and they believe BYD is throwing money in the toilet. They think that advertising for major sports events like the World Cup and surfing competitions and just random advertising all over the world is pretty pointless. It's not targeted. It's not targeting people who actually want to buy a BYD. We'll see if that changes. I'm not sure. What do you guys think on that one? Sales are up for the year for BYD, but the trend though is down, guys. Let's look at the numbers. November sales, 480,000. Sounds pretty good, yeah? That's the highest month this year, but it's down 5.5% versus the same month last year. In China, it's actually down a fair bit more than that. That's the third month in a row of declines, though, for BYD. That said, from January to November, BYD actually delivered 4.18 million cars, up 11% year on year. But let's have a look at previous years to see how that compares. 2021, BYD sales were up 218%. 2022, they were up 208%. 2023, up 62%. 2024, up 41%. 2025, up 11%. But in the last 3 months, well, we've seen percentage declines. The trend is unmistakable. BYD is no longer growing. In September, BYD slashed its annual sales goal from 5.5 million down to 4.6 million. Well, actually a 16% downgrade. That is enormous for a company that almost never misses its targets. Part of the slowdown came from a strategic misstep. In early 2026, BYD added smart driving features, which are called God's Eye, to many models, hoping this would boost demand. Instead, customers didn't buy it. BYD then scrambled to make cheaper versions without God's Eye technology. Meanwhile, rivals like Geely are aggressively launching new high-efficiency EVs and hybrids at lower prices than BYD. China's market is now the fiercest battleground in global automotive history, and BYD is no longer unchallenged. Now, they're being challenged by a lot of smaller automakers, of course, like Zeekr and Leap Motor, but they're being challenged in a big way by Geely, particularly. I mean, Geely Geome, their sales this year are up 150%. So you can clearly see that's having an effect on BYD. BYD, though, they see that their strategy needs to be on global sales. They say their next big growth engine is Europe, right? And they're pivoting hard towards that already. They have a factory in Turkey that they've just built, and it will open by the end of 2026. It's going to be building the Seal U plug-in hybrid, and just, I don't know, so maybe I'm guessing something else as well. Capacity though, 150,000 vehicles per year. Not huge, but it will have a full R&D center, and it will be BYD's second European production site. They've got a factory in Hungary, right? And sales production begins next spring. The first model is the Dolphin Surf EV. Bit of a confusing name though, because the Dolphin Surf EV is called the Seagull in China and other places. It's actually a stretched version of the BYD Seagull. Germany. Well, here's the thing. BYD's been crushing it in Germany, while Tesla's been going down. January to November, 19,200 registrations, up 650% year on year. But extremely high dealer self-registration numbers show BYD is pushing volume into the channel to build a presence. And there is a little bit of skepticism that people believe BYD are registering cars, or dealers are, that they haven't actually sold in Germany. Not sure if that's true, but I've been hearing rumors that it might be. Europe will be absolutely critical to BYD's next phase of expansion, and BYD, they know it. BYD believe they can turn things around. Here's what they're saying. Wang Shanfu's message to shareholders is clear. Number one, BYD lost its edge, but that's only temporary. Number two, massive new technologies, they're coming soon. Number three, R&D spending is about to surge. I'm not sure if spending is the issue. I think, anyway. Number four, sales strategy will be rebuilt from the ground up. Number five, global expansion, especially Europe, is accelerating. Now, guys, this is the first time that Wang has publicly acknowledged BYD's weaknesses this openly. Stella Lee is probably furious right now because it's not BYD's game in the past. They haven't done this before. BYD only does this, though, when it's preparing something big, say some analysts. If Wang is right, 2026 could mark the start of BYD's next technological leap, one that aims to widen the gap again, just as it did with the Blade battery, DMI hybrids, and its early EV platforms. Now, it might go the other way as well. BYD could continue to lose market share against some of its Chinese rivals. That really depends on how things play out, and how they, really how the entire market shakes out over the next 12 months is going to be absolutely fascinating. Guys, what do you think? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.